All right, there we go. I should be brighter in this image because I know I appear a lot darker in the other two videos. You think as a self-proclaimed cinematographer I would know that, but I think I look better in dim lighting is what it comes down to. But today, and no, I won't always do these from my bed. It just seems kind of appropriate because I'm trying to knock it out first thing in the morning before I get to all the other stuff I got to do here at my house. Today's a Sunday, so obviously, well, I do actually. I think I do more work for work on the weekends. That's one of the things about working remotely is you get a lot of flexibility in time, but along with that comes responsibility to get the work done. So working on that. Just real quick, wanted to speak about the roles of supervisors and what does it mean to be a good leader. We hear a lot of definitions of it on TV and on YouTube, but in practice or in reality, both in the civilian world that I'm in now as a teacher at a college, but it could be Walmart, it could be a large manufacturing company, and it doesn't really matter because I see the same kinds of issues. And from where I came from in the past, which I haven't spoken about yet, there was a very strict chain of command. But even there, while everyone knew their roles and, hey, I have to listen to this person because he or she outranks me, there were always personality clashes and so-called leaders that really didn't lead. They just like to hear the sound of their own voices, I think. But earlier this week, I heard some bad information, not for me personally, but for the employee who was sharing it with me about another colleague who was really getting the boot end of his supervisor. And it made me feel bad because I remember, like I said, in my prior career, even though there was a strict chain of command and there should be no question that you have to follow directives and orders from that person who is your supervisor. Um, there were still so many people that think being a leader is just barking, to put it eloquently. Uh, and I told him, I said, I felt bad for the other employee who was his friend. And I said, just tell him to not let that supervisor make decisions about his career goals. So sure, easier said than done. I'm not in his shoes, but just to hold that supervisor to account and just document what they are asking of him, and and if they're reasonable, of course, do your best to obtain them. But if they're not, which sounded like a lot of what this person was sharing with me, were very unreasonable and even contradictory to what they asked of him from prior orders. I said, just document it, do your best, and then if you find that there is a pattern of contradiction and it's starting to seem, now this is very subjective, starting to seem like you're being targeted, then you take it up to the next level of supervision, or in this case, in the civilian world, human resources, HR, and plead your case. And of course, the role of HR is not to take sides. In fact, the only side they do take, and that's how it should be, is that of the organization, the company, the organization, whoever they represent, to make sure that they're not liable in a personal suit or doing things that are going to get them in trouble by basic definition. So I just told him, just to, if he did want to leave, totally understandable. If you find a better opportunity, that's what makes a person leave. But this is where companies really need to instill in their leadership that those words that we hear, a leader is a good supporter, a good team player of their subordinates. That they're not just words, but they have to be in action, right? And so I said, I had a short career as a sergeant in a large police department, and I was not promoted. I was appointed, which kind of was what is the word? A show of support on behalf of the administrative staff that I worked for, and I did not do well, admittedly. I made the mistake of treating peers as equals, and that I felt, hey, maybe they, don't need to be told what they do. They know what to do, and that was my failure. Because on the opposite end of just barking is for someone like in my case that didn't hold his subordinates to account, and that can be equally as bad. So what I told this employee is that just, if this person wants to leave, totally understandable, but just to do so on his terms, meaning that try to exhaust everything you can. It is a relatively good paying job, and the work is challenging without being overwhelming. The only thing being overwhelming here is some of what was described to me as unreasonable expectations of the employee. So, point is, if you find yourself as being a mid-level manager or owner of a business, lead by example, and don't just talk the words, do the words, right? Take the action. Lead by example. Be supportive of your team, because replacing employees and having a high turnover rate is not good for the bottom line. Costs money in the end. Money you don't see, but having to train and not be as productive, and having to get that person spun up to do the work can be a lot more expensive and cost you in the end. Sure, there's going to be those employees that just aren't a good fit for a position or a company, and that can be dealt with accordingly. But at least let it be done so that you, as a mid-level manager or supervisor, did everything you could to be supportive and not contradict yourself or be hypocritical, and get everything that they need to do their job. Because that's really the role of a supervisor, is to be the logistics, the support mechanism, not the look at me wall and say, hey, I'm the guy with the big office and the nice suit, so do what I tell you, right? As opposed to, hey, maybe just, what do you need? What can I do for you to make your job easier? Is it more training, more support, more time in the day? Wish we could do that. But it was a little disheartening to still see that, but not unexpected. And so I guess where I looked at it when I was much younger, it was like the end of the world, working for a boss you didn't care for. But honestly, it's not. It's just another challenge that we as humans, the frail creatures that we are, have to deal with. And I'm hopeful that this young man that is feeling like he needs to leave chooses not to. Again, totally understandable if he does, because he finds a better opportunity, whether it's in money and or the nature of the work. But just like we as employees have to be accountable for our work or lack of, supervisors and managers and people appointed to a position to lead others need to also be accountable. So, in fact, even more so. So there's my morning fortune cookie wisdom. Actually, that's not wisdom. That's I'll stand by it and say everything I just espoused is facts. That is, yes, life is about gradations of gray, and there's no black and white. And sure, I get that. But expectations can be painted as black and white, and say, hey, I would like you to do this. Yeah, unexpected things are going to happen, but try to do your best to be a good leader, a good position, because ultimately it makes your life easier, right? Instead of trying to recruit, look for employees that'll make a good fit, and then retraining them. So that's all I got to say. That's my that's my editorial, and I'm sticking by it. All right, got to go. Oh, there's a long one. Got to make them shorter than this.